to me like we are live. I just want to quickly double check on our channels that is all appearing properly, and have a quick look in Insta and see if we're live on Insta. I love technology. It is so good. Alrighty. Okay, so we're recording to cloud. We're going live. I'm super excited to have you back, Larissa. It's been a long time since we've chatted, and I do apologize. Life has been a little bit crazy on my end. What about for you?
And mine too.
Yep. Yes. So I know that you were a little bit unwell, and I'm so sorry to hear that. However, I will say it is through your illness that you have created what is going to be an incredible project. So, I'm going to pay it the respect as well. And, like I can't applaud you enough for the way you continue to power through, even given the challenges that you've been going through. So, hats off to you for just being straight up amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, welcome everybody. Welcome back to Neuro Awesome. My name is Carolina from Cara PR, and I'm also the founder of Neuro Awesome. And today I am joined by Larissa Meekings, the founder of Spoonie Support Hub. And Spoonie Support Hub is a new resource being created to help people with chronic illness, neurodivergence, complex health needs, and low capacity seasons to find the right care providers and supports, as well as accessible spaces that actually understand them. And through Larissa's own lived experience of chronic illness, medical trauma, ADHD, epilepsy, and a very long and arduous search for practitioners who listen and have given her the empathy and the respect that she deserves, she's now shaped this incredible vision for this hub, which she's going to share with us today. So this conversation is about advocacy. It's about trust, access, and what happens when someone turns a difficult personal journey into a resource that can make the path easier for others. And that is exactly what Larissa has done. So before we begin the conversation, I just want to highlight that this is not medical advice. We will be talking about lived experience, self-advocacy, and community support. Please always speak with your own healthcare professional and your own healthcare providers for personal and medical advice. So, Larissa, thank you so much for joining me. I'm super excited to be speaking with you again today. And we know that this conversation is really important based on the last time that we spoke. I felt that there was so much natural alignment between Neuro Awesome and the Spoonie Support Hub. So before we get into it, tell me about your journey to this point in time. Like, I remember from the last time that we spoke, but I would love for you to just give me that quick rundown on who you are and how we got here today.
Yeah, so I'm somebody who is navigating and has been for many years some complex health issues, medical trauma, and I've spent years trying to find providers who actually listen instead of dismissing me. I work within allied health administration, so I sort of see things from both sides, my lived experience side and behind the scenes as well, which I think both of those things are kind of what has sort of shaped the Spoonie Support Hub. I think that the hub came from a feeling of surely it can't be this hard to find safe, understanding support. And if it's something that I'm feeling, I know that it's something that other people are feeling as well. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I was only speaking to a girlfriend just the other day who literally has been through the same journey, years and years of like trying to get a diagnosis, trying to get doctors to listen to her, going from one to another, and them just really, in a lot of ways, just not caring, or just, yeah, dismissing and kind of like talking down what she's experiencing. And like, I can't even imagine, like, you wouldn't want that for your best friend, you wouldn't want it for your child, you absolutely don't want that experience for yourself, and to go through it for so many years, like, it's just so debilitating and so unfair. And I'm just so proud of you for standing up and now creating a way that people don't have to go through this anymore.
yeah, I think it's exhausting, especially when you're already battling, you know, low capacity and being tired and being sick. It makes it even harder to have to deal with this on top of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone listening who may not have heard the term before, because I know I had never heard of it before, can you please explain to us, what does spoonie mean?
Yeah, so the spoon theory is basically a way of describing limited energy or capacity. So every task costs spoons. So when you live with chronic illness, disability, or neurodivergence, you often have far fewer spoons available than people realize. And I actually think it's an interesting term that has kind of expanded beyond just physical illness now. So many people relate that feeling of carefully rationing energy, needing recovery time, or living in cycles of burnout and overwhelm. I think when I first heard it was many, many years ago when I was in a support group on Facebook with chronic illness. And when I first heard it, I thought, oh, wow, that actually really does make sense. So it kind of gives people a language for experiences, I guess, that are often invisible to most people.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. You're absolutely right that there's a there needs to be this understanding between yourself, about, well, how much can I handle today? What are my energy levels? And it's a lot more of that needing to be in touch with yourself better, especially, I suppose, on your journey where you've had to advocate for yourself and you've had to get yourself through it and know and understand, okay, well, I can only do this much today. Um, uh, and I'll be at capacity in order to be able to get up tomorrow and be able to do X. It's an interesting way of looking at it. Thank you for explaining that.
Kind of, some people say, like, if you're borrowing, if you've got 5 spoons and you have to go to a doctor's appointment and you know that's gonna cost you 3 spoons, but then you have an activity the following day that's gonna require another 4 spoons, and it's kind of like you're gonna be in a deficit of spoons. Like, it's always this constant,
Yeah.
like, balance and battle of, how you can make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. It's very complex. It's so much more than what people see on the outside, It's incredible that you're able to manage yourself like this. Tell me, why is it important for people to have this specific language that they understand amongst themselves?
I think because it gives that sort of community and understanding behind your lived experiences and what you're experiencing. And we all know that it's like everything. The spoon theory means different things to different people. For example, one spoon might mean something to another person that it doesn't mean to another. So, but it's a way to bring them together to make that community, to be able to have that link for experiences that are, as I said, invisible, often invisible, and
Yeah.
pain and illness and things like that aren't easily noticeable to people.
Yeah, yeah, That's true. And I suppose they able to almost like visually relate to that as well, right? If you're
Yeah.
saying, well, look, like my capacity is 5, but right now I'm sitting on 1. Um, so yeah, okay. So I love that because so many people in our community understand that feeling of having to ration out energy, plan around capacity, and even explain to other people that you can't always do the things that they want or that they need um, because of things that they can't see, right? Things that are happening on the inside. So it's good. It's good that we have the language. So you shared with me your own health journey has been really complex and at times like just overwhelmingly difficult. Can you tell us a little bit about what that journey has looked like for you?
Yeah, sure. So I was diagnosed with antiphospholipid syndrome back just before I turned 21. And I'm 38 this year. So that in itself, over the years, has thrown me a lot of curveballs in how it actually has affected me, and how I've had to try my best to adapt to that. Um, Along the way, I've had multitudes of different doctors and a lot of medical trauma related to the experiences that I've had with the doctors, and not just doctors, just I guess different providers of different things that don't understand and don't have the ability to accommodate when you are unwell. Um, Through that diagnosis, I've also had some other sort of things pop up under that sort of umbrella. I've had multiple miscarriages, which is actually usually how antiphospholipid is diagnosed. It's usually diagnosed most commonly in women with pregnancy loss, and otherwise it's a blood clotting condition. So that was how I was diagnosed. I had a DVT, so a deep vein thrombosis in my leg. And yeah, I've kind of had all of the symptoms that in the way that it affects people, arterial clots and strokes and heart attacks and all that sort of thing. Um, so yeah, it's been years of sort of trying to learn how to advocate for myself and fight for help and to be believed and not dismissed and all of those things. And yeah, it's been a long journey that's still not over to this day. I'm still going through having to fight for myself. Recently, I had an experience in hospital that was added on to the trauma that I already have. And yeah, it's still to this day, I still battle with that. And I still, like, I'm not perfect. Obviously, I'm still learning about advocating for myself. And it's hard, it's exhausting. And sometimes it feels like you shouldn't have to, but
Mm.
it's the only way to guarantee that you will get the best care that you need. So,
Yeah. And look, it's so brave. I just, I'm wondering, like, I can only try and imagine how, that has shaped you and affected your life. I mean, having a miscarriage would be so incredibly challenging. Having multiple on top of your other health conditions and having, I suppose, the everything culminate to finally having a diagnosis after such a long period of time. How has that impacted you?
um, well, I was actually diagnosed with antiphospholipid quite quickly. So I was lucky, I don't know whether that's the right word, in regard to that, because I didn't have to keep looking for why I had developed a blood clot. They diagnosed that quite quickly.
Oh, that's good.
But it's all the things that have come along since then that have sort of been where I've had to fight for more investigation,
Yeah,
because a lot of healthcare providers don't seem to see the whole picture and everything's linked. So,
yeah,
having to beg for help, having to remind them of tests and things, having to do my own research all the time. And I'm not a doctor, so
mm, mm,
I can only go by what I'm researching, right?
yeah,
So, having to then encourage and advocate and beg for further help. It's exhausting, and it shouldn't
Mm,
be like that. So
yeah. Yeah. So I hear what you're saying, and it is very common, unfortunately, like that you go to a GP and they just sort of have like 15 minutes, whatever, and they just want to write you a script for something and go, oh, well, it's probably this. And then I know other friends who, they've gone to one specialist and then been referred to another specialist and then another one. And, just going round and round in circles like that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. And if you're only
and
on
money.
and money as well. If you're only on a few spoons because you're battling these other things, it's kind of, I imagine, somewhat like trying to row a boat upstream, with one paddle. That's and it would be so good for the healthcare system to do better. Like, it just makes you wonder. So many people are going through this experience. Why aren't they trying to do better, or are they? I'm not sure. The diagnosis gap and advocacy piece. So one of the things that really stood out to me in your story was how hard you've had to work to find the right doctor and get the right answers. And so you've had to do your own research. Can you talk me through the process? Because I know, I suppose, in this fabulous world with ChatGPT and Dr. Google, there's a lot of information out there, but how do you put words to something that you're not sure about, especially when we've got these doctors who are supposedly medically trained, that don't know it? How are you managing to find out what's wrong with you? Like, you know, that's crazy that you're managing to get those steps done on your own.
Yeah, so I sort of, I guess, in terms of why I'm in the position I am now and why I actually got to a few more diagnoses is when I thought something was wrong, was because I had a GP who I'd had for years and I thought was really good. And I brought up some new symptoms I was noticing within myself. And he told me um, that he didn't uh, believe that those symptoms were a real thing, that was all in my head, that's not even a real thing. I was experiencing really, really strong deja vu type symptoms. And this had been going on for, gosh, like 3 months prior to me actually going to my GP because I thought I was going crazy. So I didn't like even verbalizing to my partner, like I'm having these really weird experiences. That was really scary. And then actually getting up the guts and going to my GP who I'd had for years and telling him and him for him to say, it's nothing, you're just imagining it. Um, I then decided, well, it's happening. Like I'm not imagining it; it's real. I then decided, well, I need a new GP. My partner was like, I'll support you finding a new GP. We'll do what we need to do. I went to see another GP who I had been referred, given details from a friend or a acquaintance local to me, and I went to see him in the hope that he would be able to listen and provide me with the next steps. Who basically told me that um, I was too complex, that he wasn't interested in taking on such a complex case. He had his current patients who were more important to him. And I remember leaving that appointment, bawling my eyes out to my partner, and I'm like, well, I give up. Like it's too hard. I give up. Like I'll just continue with these symptoms, and hopefully they'll go away on their own. I then happened to mention to a friend of mine who's actually a social worker that I was having what had happened, and that I'd gone to another GP and I'd had this terrible experience. And she said to me, well, I've got a GP who's really great, who helps, with all my complex issues. She's a bit further away from where you live, but I'm happy to give you her details. I was like, absolutely, I'll travel. I need somebody that's going to listen.
Yeah.
And I actually went to see this GP. In it, like this had gone over because by the time I saw the first GP and then the second one, that was another month. So months had passed by this point, and then I finally get in to see this new GP who I'm still seeing now, who is fabulous.
Yeah, yeah,
She said to me straight away when I told her what I was experiencing, you're having focal seizures. That is the actual presentation of a focal seizure. So I'm going to refer you to a neurologist. We'll do an MRI and all these tests in the meantime. So by the time you get in to see the neurologist, then you should have more of an idea with the test having been done. So by this point, and then by the time I got another appointment with the neurologist, it was the end of the year. So about from beginning to end, I want to say maybe like 8 months had passed, and all this time it was happening. And saw the neurologist, and yes, he confirmed straight away that I was having focal seizures. So the fact that that had gone on for that long, and the more seizures you have, obviously, the more damage it causes to the brain, and all because I wasn't listened to and I was dismissed, like I was made to feel even more crazy than I already felt.
oh,
Um,
so messed
so
up.
yeah, yeah. So I think with the whole Googling thing, so I don't know, I feel like when because you're vulnerable and exhausted, and you're just looking for somebody to help, and but really ideally you're looking for somebody who's safe.
Yeah,
um Google can tell you who exists, but it can't tell you who understands chronic illness, who won't dismiss you, who communicates accessibly, who actually has capacity to take on complex clients. Because I get it, not everybody wants to. Some
yeah,
GPs just want to, take you in, see you for 15 minutes, give you a script, and send you on your way.
yeah.
And also, it won't tell you who is genuinely neuroaffirming.
Mhm. Yeah,
So, yeah, the emotional labor of searching, explaining yourself, being disappointed over and over again, it's kind of huge. And that kind of takes it away from you actually reaching out for help. So,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine what it's like when you're going to someone for help and then being rejected, and also pretty much being told like, no, that didn't happen, or you're crazy. Like, I don't know how you found it in yourself to keep going. That's honestly, Larissa, like, I'm not trying to be all amazing about this, but it's just like, it breaks my heart for you, because you were going to that doctor because you needed help, and they just straight up didn't care enough to even try and make more inquiries for you. Like, that's just really devastating. I want to cry. I can only imagine how you were at that time. But oh, I'm so glad that you reached out to the social worker, and that she was able to give you like that good resource. And I guess that's like a really perfect segue to what you're now creating in Spoonies.
yeah, yeah. So I kind of, in that time, said to my partner, it shouldn't be this hard to find providers who actually are able to help. Shouldn't be this hard at all. Why is there no directory that you're able to search for under searchable criterias and filters of what type of support you're looking for, location, all of that sort of thing? Why isn't there something like that for um, chronic illness, neurodivergence, disability, across the whole spectrum, I guess? So, decided from that point, well, this is something that I wish existed. So, maybe I should start looking into creating something like this that I wish always existed and would have taken away a lot of my trauma over the years. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, I mean, what did it mean for you to have someone that finally took your symptoms seriously after all of that pain and heartache and trying and just trying to get someone to listen?
It was validating. That's the main word I would use when I talk to anybody about it, because when you know something is not right, and but you've had prior years of, gaslighting and people telling you that like it's nothing and you're imagining it, and with a lot of invisible illnesses, it doesn't look to the average person like there's something wrong. um yeah, it was validating in so many ways, and even to this day, do I still see the same GP. Unfortunately, she is a little bit far away from me, so most of my appointments are via telehealth.
Mm,
But to this day, whenever I tell her I've noticed something new, she is on the ball straight away. Like, okay, well, this is what, if this is what you're feeling, then let's do this test. Like,
yeah,
no, there's nothing that's ever too much trouble, and but she's always interested in investigating further. And yeah,
yeah,
I never feel dismissed by her. So
yeah,
it's just a validating feeling knowing that you're not imagining things, and
yeah,
um, yeah, almost
yeah,
a relief, which it
yeah,
sounds
absolutely.
bizarre because nobody wants something to be wrong,
No,
but it's it's validation of like, I know I'm not crazy, like it was
yeah.
real. So yeah.
Yeah. And this part of your story is so important because so many people start to blame themselves when the system is too hard to navigate. And too often the issue isn't that people aren't trying hard enough. It's just that the pathway is so confusing, it's so exhausting, and it's not always built for complex needs. And, like I'm sure that those original doctors weren't necessarily bad people, but they didn't have the skills, the training, the understanding, the experience to know what those symptoms and signs were. And I guess this is where having something incredible like the Spoonie Support Hub, you can sort of you can put it jump into your page and look at, say, doctors that are specialize in complex health, or how does that work for Spoonie Support Hub?
Yeah, so the directory will have all different types of search options. So you can search for a broader term of, yes, complex needs. And then there'll be an option to search for whether or not these particular providers have availability, location. Um, but then there also will be more of a way to break it down. So if you're looking for somebody who specializes in, for example, epilepsy, like my neurologist does, then that would be something that you can pop in as well. So it's more, breaks it down a little bit more, it narrows it down. So it's not just really broad, but there is the option to do both.
Yeah. And I remember when we were talking before, you were saying that they're vetted. You said availability, the location, and what other things are people going to be able to look at? Neurodivergence. What
Yeah.
is your plan for the Spoonie Support Hub in that way?
Yeah, so everybody will be vetted and verified as actually specializing in, for example, the area that they have applied for to join the hub. It'll also be availability, location, accessible. So whether or not, and that just doesn't, that's not just ramps and parking spots, although that is very important. And if it's a physical location, then that would be one of them. But it would also be their communication, um, whether or not they're neuroaffirming. So all of that would be included in the verification that would take place before they're listed on the hub itself.
That's really good. And I think that'll be a huge relief to a lot of people who are looking for the support. They've tried lots of different doctors and they just want someone that they can trust and that's going to listen to them, and that also has the right experience as well as the qualifications to be able to, I suppose, process this is something more that needs to be investigated, and, have their own, I suppose, network of people that they can make sure give you the right amount of care and appreciation for what you're going through, which is really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, the other thing I wanted to talk about is, so when you were talking about your diagnosis journey, another major part of your recent journey is the temporal lobe epilepsy diagnosis. Are you comfortable sharing a little bit more about what led you to that diagnosis?
Yeah, so that was again me knowing that something wasn't right. Um, as I said, I was having these episodes, these deja vu, really, really strong deja vu episodes that were so strong that it would actually make me nauseous and winded. Like it was happening so many times throughout the day. And as I said, I started to feel like, is this like, am I going crazy? What's happening? I don't understand what's happening. Um, Obviously, I did do a bit of my own research and it did come up saying mentioning seizures, and I was like, no, that can't be because I'm not having, like, when you think of epilepsy, you think of um, convulsions and tonic clonic episodes, and yeah, to me, I was like, there's no way I have epilepsy, but I knew something wasn't right, and it just kept getting worse. I was also having these really like vacant type, like visually vacant, like I would just be staring. Nothing would be like it was bizarre.
Mm,
And I remember thinking like there's this difference between anxiety and your body telling you that something is genuinely happening, and I knew that something was going on.
yeah.
And yeah, it was my GP who would connected the dots. It was the first time that somebody had
Mm,
done that instead of just separating every symptom into individual boxes, because as I said, everything's connected.
yeah.
So yeah, getting the confirmation, as I said, was very validating, but also emotional,
Yeah.
because part of me knew that this had been happening for months, and I didn't choose to ignore it initially, but I just thought that maybe, yeah, I didn't think it was anything until it kept happening. And yeah, then it turned out that it was actually happening for that amount of time, and it had
Mm,
been causing damage that I didn't, you know, um, necessarily know that was happening, and that it would be causing that amount of damage over that time. So, yeah.
mm. And so the treatment for that now, how is that looking for you? You've got, like, is it working? How do you feel? How has that changed things for you?
So I've been put on a medication that I take morning and night, which actually it was working up until recently. I've been having some more episodes, and I've got another appointment coming up with my neurologist to review that, and we're suspecting I might need a change in medication, whether that be a different dose or a different type. Um, so, but again, like I knew when it started happening again, it's not happening as much as it was before, but when I noticed it, I said to my partner, something's not right again. Like I'm having these experiences again. And right away, I told my GP, and she was like, okay, well, we need to get you back in to see the neurologist ASAP and get everything reviewed because obviously you need a change in medication. So, yeah,
Mm. I'm so glad that you found that that GP. She sounds like an absolute lifesaver. And
she's
you know,
amazing.
yeah. And after all that, the searching, the waiting, the advocating for yourself, being dismissed, and then finding someone who's listened to you, um, that's how you've created this community hub. So it's been horrible, and I know that it would have been so nice if this was already there before you went through all of this. But now you've turned that pain into your next passion, in creating the Spoonie Hub. So, you've just doing amazing things with that. Tell me, where did the name come from? So is that based on the spoons of energy?
Yeah, so obviously the spoony part of it. So actually it was a name that my partner came up with, to be
Yeah,
honest. It was sort of, yeah, because it's a support hub, and the idea for it eventually will be to be more of a community-based thing
yeah,
as well. So there'll be option to join the community, but that would be further down the line. But yeah, it was more of a so that would mean a hub for both the directory and a community as well.
yeah.
And yeah, the spoony part of it is just the term that I love to use to explain myself in my own capacity, and I know so many others out there that use it as well. And then obviously, yeah, the support part of it, because that's what it's all about. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So who is the hub going to be for?
So generally, I thought originally just for chronic illness, disability, neurodivergence, but honestly, I feel like it's for anybody who, even who doesn't have a diagnosis, or anybody who's just looking for the right type of support. Whether that be healthcare or other providers. So it will not just be for healthcare providers, it's going to be for um, more accessible. So, for example, venues that are accessible for disability, but also venues, shops, restaurants, things like that, that understand and have the ability to accommodate disability, neurodivergence, because we all know that that's something that's not really broadly understood as much as it should be. So it'll be quite broad around the whole sort of, um, providers from all different areas. And I think that was the important part of it, because we all have different needs, and
Mhm.
we all need that in different areas. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so you're based in Melbourne, is that right?
I'm in Sydney
Sydney. Oh,
myself.
you are in Sydney. Okay.
Yeah.
And so how soon will you, or I know that you had already some people that were signed up. So are you planning to make it, New South Wales, Australia-wide? What's your vision for this fabulous
Plan
support?
is for it to be national, so
Yeah.
Australia-wide.
Yeah.
I do have providers who have already signed up across Australia. Um, and I've also, made the decision to make it free for people to be able to search and look. So I don't really believe in you having to the whole getting support thing being behind a paywall.
Yeah.
I think everybody should have the same level of access to support. So
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I suppose the main reason you're like this is such important work is based on how isolating the journey can be when you're trying to navigate illness with exhaustion, with being bounced between different providers, and it's not something new. Um, Unfortunately, it's potentially going to take a while before the medical system improves. But having this resource is going to be life-changing for so many families, and we're just so glad that you've decided to be the one to create that change. Um,
yeah.
so I wanted to ask you a couple of things. So we spoke about what the directory looked like. So who are some of the people who have already signed up, and what does that look like for them? Are they signed on as medical providers and then they pay like a subscription? Um,
Yeah. So at the moment, the people who have registered are from, physios, OTs. Um, I've also, there's one lady who is a medical tattoo artist. So she does a lot of tattoos and things like that for people who've had surgeries and all
oh
types of
yeah,
things. So the providers themselves will pay a fee to be listed on the directory. And um, yeah, it'll be like a membership type fee. There'll be different tiers of the membership, which will include different things. And they can pick which option, whether or not they want more detailed information listed on their profile, where they want to be advertised on the profile itself. So there's a few different options there that
yeah.
they can choose from.
And what does the verification process sort of look like? So if I am coming to Spoonie Hub and I'm looking for, someone who deals in the what was it called again?
Fibromyalgia, yeah.
Yes, fibromyalgia. How do I know that this person is verified? What do they have to go through to become verified with Spoonie Hub?
Yeah, so there's a few different steps that will need to take place for them to be verified. So that will be something that I will be doing myself with each provider. So there'll be different questions and different parts I'll have to answer in order to be verified. Um, and that part of it's still under sort of development because I've obviously got to make sure everything is aligns well with what the Spinning Hub what we classify as verified and affirming. But yeah, there'll be all different steps that they will need to go through to be verified and
Yeah,
listed.
yeah. And so I kind of sort of envision it being a little bit almost like Trustpilot, where people can leave their reviews as well, or something in to that effect.
Yeah, yep, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. And so what does this mean for providers who are essentially looking for new clients?
Yeah, so that would mean that they would, yeah, be advertised on there and be open to accepting new clients. Depending on obviously what they're looking for, would depend on which level of sort of membership that they would sign up for. On their profiles would be their contact details, along with again, depending on what level they would sign up with, a direct link to whether or not they have, they have bookings online. That would include that link along with their contact details and all of that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds pretty exciting. And how long do we have to wait for this fabulous hub to be available to everybody?
Yep. So originally it was meant to have launched at the beginning of May, but there has been a few delays, mostly because I'm obviously every step of the way, and it's something that I'm funding myself. Obviously, you have to provide feedback and approve everything that my developer has made. And also she's a Spoonie herself. So
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's made by Spoonies for Spoonies. So
Yeah.
she obviously has her capacity and things that change every day. So at the moment, we're looking at halfway through June,
Nice.
um,
Cool.
maybe
Not too
latest the
far
end
away.
of June, which is technically not that far away.
No.
But yeah, I'm excited for it to be launched and for everybody to enjoy it as much as I know I'm going to as well.
Yeah, I think it's very affirming for people who have been on that journey. And there's a lot of people who just want to know that the next time they go to a doctor, that it's going to be a doctor who's actually going to give them the time and the respect and the courtesy that they deserve, and the understanding that they're not just there seeking attention, they're there because like there's something really wrong, or there's something they really need help with, and that they're putting their trust in you to get um, a solution and to create change, much needed change for a more improved and valuable existence. There's I feel like we all deserve to be able to enjoy our lives as much as possible. It shouldn't
100%.
shouldn't all just be like, obviously we have ups and downs, but it shouldn't have to be a constant battle with doctors when you're already finding your own battles in yourself, just to keep the lights on, and maintain relationships and try and be social and all of the other things that come with life. um,
100%. Yeah.
so real quick, so the goal is to keep it free for users, for people to search.
Yep.
And we're also looking at taking on interest from providers at this point in time, because you're getting ready to launch. And so what has the response been like so far from providers? Have you been getting lots of attention and lots of inquiries?
Yeah, we've had lots of inquiries on both ends. So both, providers looking to be listed and also people interested in being able to use the hub as well. So yeah, it's been great. I was not actually surprised by the amount of people that were interested in being able to use it, because I knew that it's something that is needed. But I was, yeah, definitely humbled by the amount of providers that actually want to be a part of it as well. So yeah.
That's so good. And what are you looking for in the first group of listed providers? Have you got a specific?
No, not really, no. So I'm kind of, as I said, taking interest from providers, not just healthcare, as I said, different venues, different supports, from social workers to community groups, kind of broad
Yeah,
spectrum, really. I'm don't want to limit it to only accepting certain types at the beginning, because I think that will kind of put it in a box, and I'm not about putting things in a box, because that's not what, chronic illness is about. So
right,
yeah.
exactly. It's so not, cookie cutter, is it? It's very broad, it's very complex, and yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot there, and a lot of different communities that can potentially collaborate in that. And you're looking across all regions. We already covered that. So I guess one of the reasons that I really want to have this conversation with you is, I suppose, the natural overlap between Spoonie Support Hub and the Neuro Awesome community. From your perspective, where do you see the connection being between chronic illness, neurodivergence, and community support?
So as I said, everything's linked. I feel like if you can be affirming in chronic invisible illnesses, you can also be affirming across neurodivergence, because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes neurodivergence is invisible as well, right? So I feel like if it's this community that can be affirming, trauma informed across all of it, I feel like that is a great something to be a part of. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also when you're dealing with vulnerable people, um, having that having that extra level of understanding, because they're not always capable of, I suppose, verbalizing those symptoms. But if the doctor or the practitioner or the service provider already has that understanding, I think that can only be a good thing, to be able to offer to our community.
100%.
So how can people advocate for themselves if they're going through, you know, the crisis right now of trying to find the right doctor, and they're trying to find the right systems, and they're feeling dismissed? What would your advice be for those individuals before we get the Spoonie Hub live to support them?
Look, I think it's really hard. And as I said, it's something I'm still learning and doing myself every day. I'm not an expert at it. And it's really hard when you're emotionally affected and involved by it, because you can get caught up in the emotional side of it, which sometimes doesn't always help with the strong advocating. But then I think, well, of course, like, we're exhausted, we're tired, we're the ones suffering. Of course, we're going to be emotional. I think, um, you know, trust yourself. Know that not every symptom you're feeling is in your head. It's not all anxiety. Not every concern is overreacting. Um, and just because you're considered as high functioning doesn't mean that you're not struggling. I don't know, advocating for yourself is incredibly hard, but you deserve to find answers, um, and providers that will take you seriously. And just remember that, I guess, you're not too difficult, you're not too complicated. You deserve the appropriate support to help you. So if you
Yeah.
keep telling yourself that, I feel like that will help you to keep fighting. But yeah, as I said, it's hard, it's exhausting. So I can understand why people give up, to be honest. And I've been there a few times myself, but yeah, just believe in yourself and know that you know your body. We all know our own bodies. So
Mm,
yeah.
yeah. I'm curious, do you keep like a journal or something to notice when you have like different changes or
Yeah. So I actually created something for the Spoonie Hub, mate, from a both a appointment toolkit.
Mhm.
So something that you can note down symptoms in that you're noticing, note down any questions that you have for
Yeah.
any appointment or any new provider that you're seeing. And to take that along to appointments with you. I created it first when I started the Spoonie Hub, and then I'm actually working on a new revised version of it, which is also the first version, and this one will also be free, which you can download through the link in my bio once it's finished. But yeah, it'll be something that you can use to note down any symptoms that you notice, any changes, and then take to appointments with you. So
That's an
yeah.
awesome resource to have. Yeah. That's very cool. You've thought of it all, Larissa. I'm super excited for this. Um,
Well,
so
again, it's something that I wish that I knew that I could have created before because it's something that would have helped me for all these years. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And it's pretty much what I hear every time I do an interview with someone who's got this incredible neurodivergent service. Like we've got another lady that I interviewed just the other day, Sue from Highlands Drive Safe. So she does teacher training as well as driving instructing for people on the spectrum. So everyone that I spoke to was like, oh, I wish that was around when I was learning how to drive. And this is going to be exactly the same thing. So many people wish that this was already around before. And here you are, you've had to go through like what is it, like baptism by fire to be the change maker and create this incredible resource for people so that less people have to feel the way that you've been made to feel and more people can find the right doctors, the right support, the right solutions for whatever challenges it is that they're going through, and it doesn't have to just be a chronic illness. As you said, it could be neurodiversity, it could be disabilities, it could be a range of things, but having people who have been vetted and I suppose tried and tested. So it's going to be really exciting to see the way that the community rise up and support you, giving their recommendations. Have you got a list somewhere? Have you got, is there an email that people can send through, after they've been watching this and see, what you're creating? How can we as a community support you in building out that directory
Yeah,
listing for other people who, have gone, oh, I saw this doctor or I saw this specialist and after seeing six, this one was the right one. How can we support you to build that?
Yeah, so there is within my bio, there is a link for you to be able to submit that sort of information. Obviously, it'll then be up to that provider whether or not they want to be listed, but it's definitely a really great way to have, that person even notified about the Spoonie Hub. So
Yeah.
if you have had, a really good experience with a healthcare professional or provider in general and you think they should be listed, definitely submit their details, and then I can handle it from there. But I would love that because I think once again, word of mouth is a great thing, and when you've got that community who've also experienced the same things and who have, for example, like my new GP, I think yeah, that's fantastic, and I would love to be able to have those people then listed on the directory as well. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Well, look, Larissa, thank you so much for sharing your story. You're building something that is clearly needed. Anyone who is listening who's living with chronic illness, neurodivergence, complex health needs, or even the exhaustion of constantly having to explain themselves and getting bounced from practitioner or service to another. Um, you know, you are not alone. And this conversation is a reminder of that, that we're in it with you, that you're not too hard. You deserve to be taken seriously, and help us to continue to cultivate this community where we are creating that supportive network, and helping more people to have more positive experiences in overcoming whatever their challenges are. Larissa's taking the lead. She's building the directory. We've already got lots of people who have signed up and are interested, and we can continue to help Larissa to build this up, through submitting the name and contact details of any amazing practitioner or therapist that you've seen, who would be a great fit for the Spoonie Support Hub. So yeah, if anyone would like to get in contact with Spoonie Support Hub or connect with Larissa, how can they get in contact with you?
So definitely through my Instagram. So that's probably my most easiest ways to contact me, and that it's just at the Spoody Support Hub, and through email as well, which is just hello@thespoonysupporthub.com. So yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Well, I'll be sure to pop it in the details with the live and the videos, in YouTube and LinkedIn. And that pretty much is a wrap for our fabulous interview together. Larissa, thank you for coming on live with me, and for building this incredible initiative out. And, you know, we're really excited about supporting you and seeing this go live and more people having better experiences.
Yeah, thank you. I would just love to be able to, support somebody, be able to, find and limit that emotional labor that comes with navigating all of
All
this
of
complex stuff that's all linked together. So if I can
it.
help one other person do that, then that would be great.
Amazing. All righty. Thank you so much, Larissa. Enjoy the rest of your
You.
day and take care.